Hello on YouTube, hello on Twitch. Welcome to another episode of my Hearthstone Let's Play series. This is Northstar. I hope you're well, are taking care of each other and being kind to yourselves. I apologize for just checking the audio levels there. For those new to my channel, welcome. Return viewers, welcome back. New viewers, or older ones who haven't done this before, do check out my YouTube page. I have over 50 playlists, over 24 games. Some of them are much more exciting about this Hearthstone I do because there's an audience for this game. Not because it's my best work, but because I desperately need to grow my channel. I'm more likely to get Twitch viewers. The Twitch viewer to channel ratio is much better with Hearthstone than most games. Unfortunately, there's a tendency for everyone to congregate in a few really big channels, and then a lot of little ones like mine get almost no one. But I'm trying. If I can break in, then I could be very successful. This is the hope. I gotta get better at the game though. But I am recording that because I get some viewers as I get better at the game, and a lot of viewers if I get really good at this game. So that's the idea. This is Mercenary mode. Taking a little break from ranked play. I'll be back to it as I touch up my decks and slowly, through the rewards track, earn towards having the cards I need to really compete effectively in wild play. I can do better in standard, but I don't ever like how limited the standard sets are. And the only deck that I have that's any good for standard right now is my Paladin deck. I could get my Death Knight deck up to par for standard with just a few cards, but some of them would be rares probably. The pre-made one is not good enough. I need probably about 1,000 dust, I'd say, to get my Death Knight deck, maybe 1,200 to be competitive. It's not very much, and I actually spent more than that. I had more than that set aside, but I wanted to work in my wild decks. They do teach me more about how decks work than just getting one standard deck up to par to so improve all these decks that are still below average. Anyways, Interior against her Rage Paw in the Mercenary mode. A quick aside, by the way, those who don't know I have long COVID. I do get distracted easily and don't do well with distractions. But quick aside, I've been reading Kim Stanley Robinson's 2140. It's an excellent book. I was looking at some of the Amazon reviews, and there's three types of things. There's the people who get the book and love it, usually 5 or sometimes 4-star reviews. There's the people who just don't like the author's left-wing leanings, occasionally do hit jobs. And then there's the people who just don't get as complicated character building. Or they want a beach thrower and they've heard his book is a thrower, like 2140 is a thrower, and they don't. His books are slow burn. At first, you don't understand how the characters come together, and it takes a while for him to build the characters because you swap from character to character, and so they're all building in parallel. So at first, you have to remember what he said about the characters before, which is hard for me with long COVID, but I can do it. Sometimes I have to flip back and look at something from a chapter to remind myself of a character's story and what you've learned of it so far. It's not the best organizational system, but the characters are very compelling. Some of the people may think they're not because they don't really have experience. Furbolg Shaman, a Turf, Rage Pawn, a Furbolg Pathfinder. Sorry, they don't have experience with people like this in their lives. That doesn't mean there aren't people like this or it's unrealistic character building. For instance, in New York 2040, there was a character, Franklin. He is a perfect encapsulation of finance bro personality. I've met enough people who are in entrepreneurship, not actually finance bros. I met accountants who worked in finance who were not the high-flying ones, and I met entrepreneurs. But I've met people who are very distinctly rhymed with this character. And when I've heard it's the actual finance bros who are actually doing high-flying finance are exactly like this. This author had experience with these sort of people. He encapsulates it perfectly. There's people who think, oh, these people, there's no one really like that. And they I don't know, they live out in rural Missouri. They've never met people like this. They think there aren't humans like this. There are. These are people who have narrow worldviews, and honestly, they're often housewives or men who are working menial labor jobs who just, they have a narrow experience of the world and they don't understand there are people like this. I've read the Mars trilogy. I was working through the Memory of Whiteness. Memory of Whiteness perfectly encapsulated a certain type of musical artistic personality. It's actually about music. The naming is unfortunate and implies racist stuff. This guy is the opposite of racist. But I really wish they'd come up with a different title for that book. It's something to do with like the white music sheets or something, or of Oblivion. There's like a fatalistic. One of the characters is quite like depressive in the book. But anyways, unfortunately, that one I had a physical copy from the library, couldn't find an ebook, and I had to return it when I headed back to the family cabin in case someone reserved it. I wouldn't be able to easily get back to return it there. To flee from my homicidal roommate. But my life has been blessed in the sense, in many ways, it's been extremely unfortunate that I met, but it's been blessed in one major way. I met a large variety of people in my life. And so I can say Robinson's characters are very accurate to certain types of personalities. They're not usually your average salt of the earth people. They're certain types of people with unusual personalities. Like Vlad the supervisor, he just like some people I've met who are like certain type of menial labor maintenance staff in a big city environment. I've met janitors and such who are just like the guy. He's a building supervisor, and he actually is like a supervisor of many maintenance personnel. But I met handyman types who are just like the guy. Franklin the finance bro, I met people just like that. He does have a certain type of personality. It's pretty rare in the United States. It comes up again and again, and that's the Tanya personality. Literally, I played Red Alert. There's a character called Tanya. It's actually based on this stereotype. The Russian tough woman. It's clear that at some point he must have had like a romance with one of these. It's a personality type that's unique to Russian culture, which has always been more gender egalitarian than a lot of other European cultures. It's no coincidence that when the Soviet Union started actively pushing to reduce inequalities between men and women, that it leaped ahead in leaps and bounds, and it wasn't because of just socialism, although women were getting PhDs at rates like 20 times that in the West at one point. And I mean, that gap closed is with the Apollo program. The West started getting women more PhDs, but at the US and Europe eventually too. But there's an element of Russian culture of a type of tough woman that particularly flourished in the Soviet Union. Often would be in the military for a while and stuff, or management roles. Kind of like the girl boss personality in the US, but different, distinctly Russian. And this personality shows up in about half of Robinson's books. Like, it shows up in the Mars trilogy. It shows up in New York 2040. There's a reference to it, though it's not one of the main characters. Though the cop, who's a black woman, actually has an echo of this personality. So he's got the tough woman personality, shows up too often. He's got the all-American cowboy type. I've met people like that. He's got finance bros. These are all unique and eccentric personalities, but they're real personalities. There are people like this I've met. Almost every one of the types of eccentrics that he has in his books. He just doesn't do normal people, which leads some people to just not get the characters and feel that they're not realistic. They are realistic. They're just not normal. They're all people who maybe need a little bit of time with a therapist or something. To be cynical. He does slightly imbalanced characters well, but his characters do come together, and his plots are slow burning, but really shine once they shine. And his world building is amazing. So, I highly recommend Robinson's books. He is arguably the greatest author of our age, alongside Brandon Sanderson, is it? Guy who did the not the Wheel of Time series. That guy died. Robert Jordan, I think, was early. Although he did help finish it, the Wheel of Time, and the author died. Stormlight Archive series. His major flaw is that he's too obsessed with logistics and details of world building. Robinson's is how he organizes character building. Too often he keeps switching around characters too often, and it becomes hard to get invested in a character. People make the mistake thinking the characters aren't compelling. They are, but sometimes you have to go back and like reread the last chapter. That character came back like, oh, and the person starts to really come together then. He could use a better editor. Robinson. Some of his books do better with this than others. Anyways, enough books. I've thought about doing a Northstar Talks book series someday, but I know that's not what you're here for. So, I don't. All right, Furbolg Balance. I don't know what any of these Felwood enemies do because this is my first bounty here. Deal 5 damage to an enemy. Restore that much health to a random friendly. So it's like a drain. Rage Pocket. 6 attack for 1 turn. Attack enemy. So it's 9 attack. But this is a caster, but it's doing melee. Okay, so it's as good at shredding protectors. And this thing attacks. If this attacks one of my protectors, it'll hit pretty hard. This is unfortunate that there's 2 casters, because I have my really high level characters are Samoro and Cariel. And then I was going to do this guy because he can be immune when attacking. With Aimless Assault. Need to wipe out one of these. Looks like the Rage Paw is me, the one that does the most melee attacks. Should be vulnerable to a double strike. And these are demons, so 6 attack when taunting. She's just gonna have to taunt, even though that means she's gonna take a lot of damage. Okay. Yep. It's like a golem version of Carol. I should swap her than normal. I don't like the animated. It's distracting. In a longer fight, I'd probably do Steel Blade on herself. This is a shorter one. Well, this is the only thing that's an attack, actually. You know what? Boom. I will actually do that to herself. Aimless Assault. Throwing Blade. No. Oh, yeah, that'd be fine. I wanted her to have less attack for if she was attacked, but then I forgot that Warm Blade's gonna wipe that anyways. But this thing does ranged attacks that don't. So pointless. I probably should have just done taunt. The abilities I want to use are on cooldown. Yeah, I can keep draining my characters. This could go on for a while. Wanted it to. Taunt with extra healing.
Job's done.
Or no. I'll Seal White tomorrow. Make sure he stays up. And then I'll taunt later. This is the way for a little while. Alright. I don't want this to drag on forever. I wanted to get a little extra. Guess after the next one of these, I'm just gonna this heals thing too quick. I think it's even slowly wearing down. Cariel. I'd have to run the numbers to see if it is, but heal 10 a turn, and I only do damage of 10 every other turn. Yeah, this would go on forever. Alright. Mirror image it. Crusader's Blow, let's finish this. Just to be sure.
I hear and obey.
Boom. Did a little grinding cast without hopefully overdoing it. I don't know if XP changes based on how many rounds a battle last. And if it's redistributed from the characters already max levels, the others get more, like if it was a smaller party. I Cap'n 1. Fill your board with Pirate Demons of the Rush. So instead of getting 1, Elfin Navigator, give your other Murlocs, which are none, until the third ability, +1/+1. Sleep with the Fishes, deal 9 damage to all enemies. All damaged enemies. Murloc Scrabble 3. After a friendly Merc gains Taunt or Divine Shield, give them +3/+3 or Murky Mastery 3. If you have at least 3 other Murlocs in play, each Murloc have spell damage. Unlikely I will for a while. Taunt or Divine Shield, though, I do carry out and gain Taunt. So that gives Murk-Eye the ability to buff. Patches needs to use Eye just 5 times. Okay. Feminized Miss Assault. Take a while. Alright. Caster's gonna be tougher. And that's an elite caster battle. I doubt I don't want to do elite anything. Let's do a protector battle. It'll be 2 protectors on the field on my side. But yeah, Kim Stanley Robinson is a very good author. Admittedly, he's a better author for people of high intelligence because his themes do run deep and his characters do require a little more insight. And I'm not just talking like book smart math. In fact, I don't even think mathematical intelligence, which is what's most often prized as intellect or logical, would actually help much of his books. Emotional intelligence and intuition is probably more important with his books. I fight! But also understanding people themselves. Which is why right-wingers dislike his books, because their habit says right-wingers tend to have less ability to understand people separate from themselves and more likely to be disgusted by people who are different. It's one of the few things correlates with the left-right in the US, although there's very little difference between the Democrats and Republicans sometimes, so it's hard to actually find many things that predict left-right in the US. You're better off in a country where there's more difference between the different political parties if you want to get good data there. Because whether you vote Republican or Democrat is not a good, because they're both right-wing parties. The Democrats are center-right with a few progressives mixed in who are actually left, but they're mostly center-right. They're the Hillary Clintons, Bill Clintons, Obamas of the world. Obama pretended to be more left-wing, but then drone struck and police brutality and deportations. He did it quietly, but he was a monster who's around the third world invasions. Obama was not a good guy. And the Republicans are, well, fascist these days. But the Democrats are technocratic authoritarians. So when the Republicans say, oh, the Democrats are leading us towards fascism, that's not really true. That's an exaggeration and an intentional mischaracterization. But the Democrats are authoritarians, but the Republicans are actual fascists. Authoritarianism is not the same as fascism. Fascism goes one step further than authoritarianism in a certain model of political ideology, which is deeply flawed and I don't like, but in a certain model of it, fascism and communism would be considered totalitarian ideologies. Part of what I don't like is there's no equivalence between those two. They're nothing like, and it's nonsense horseshoe theory. But authoritarianism is not as extreme as totalitarianism. The Democrats are authoritarians. The Republicans these days are increasingly totalitarians. So they're both, neither of them really believe in liberty in a real sense. That would be like the Green Party, but the Green Party has very little influence. The Green Party would actually be a party that really believes in democracy, for instance. Or Socialist Party USA, but they're tiny. They're democratic socialists as opposed to the PSL, which are communists. They might be considered authoritarian, not totalitarian for certain. They're more Maoist, which with some democratic socialism mixed in. They're more moderate than most communist parties. They're not really a true communist party, the PSL, but they have communist influences. SPUSA is democratic socialist and insignificantly small. Working Families Party, they're social democrats. They're not a true party, they're more of a caucus within the parties, as is the Democratic Socialists of America. Yeah, the Green Party would be the only truly, and the SPUSA would be the only truly democratic parties in the US. We have an authoritarian and totalitarian party now. Right totalitarian, no left totalitarians. Verbo challenge, attack an enemy if they haven't acted yet. Gain taunt for a turn. Well, taunt will ensure that doesn't happen. If I want to take down this verbal balance caster, because otherwise it'll eat my protectors. It's a taunt. That also deal damage to these. Just take down this. These are demons. Kutris is obsessed with demons.
Job done.
I think the guy is like a demon hunter character. I think he changed his name. He's the one who's the demon hunter class, the default portrait. I think that was Kutris Ashfall, and then he became something else. He became like an Illidari or whatever, which were originally Night Elves, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the lore well enough, so whatever I'm saying is almost certainly wrong. But I know there's some sort of connection there to that storyline that I don't understand well, so. Cariel took a bit of a beating. These two are just going to attack again. If I actually want her to stay on her feet a little longer, or maybe help him do more with his aimless assault, that's what I should do. This is still faster for bullet challenge. One blade. Do certain amount of damage with one blade and aimless assault to progress. Which one is he targeting? Oh, it's aimless. That's right, I can't choose. Nope, he doesn't get to do his aimless assault. Darn it. They wiped themselves out of the party. Could have kept the caster around. Oh well. Just trying to win instead of focusing too much on these tasks. A bonus to him, he is the only orc currently in the party. No, adaptable combat. So that when I really need something other than a fighter, I have it. I can protect her. Here we go, fighter battle. This is what I was hoping for. Or could do casters. And try and actually, I should have been doing before in that very first battle, it now occurred to me, is Sealing of Lighting Kutris, so he could do decent damage with these. That's how I could have solely gained the advantage and actually made decent task progress. Sorry for those who watch and like, this is, how do you not see this, Northstar? I'm sorry, I should have seen it. Blair is the only one of those I could pull out of there, but she does pathetic damage. Fan of Knives. Verbal defense. Attack enemy if it has already acted. Give your characters +5 attack. Oh. That's not good. These, they're gonna hit harder and harder. I probably need to take out the Den Watcher early. Or I could really regret it. Make my caster so he does more damage there. Take that. Probably should calculate the person. Probably. Yeah, this is okay. There we go. Now let's just down into the shop. See how white. This will just keep doing 10 damage each turn. I can kill 8, so slowly wear down Kutris. Limited amount of time I can do this. I turn some more Protector, he might get targeted by this. Probably not. Scoring Blade while it's available. Aimless Assault since it makes him immune.
Job's done.
Is that right, healing. Could actually wipe this out easily enough just by turning him into a fighter and adaptable combating. Let's do nothing. Will do more and more damage. And this thing's going for Cariel instead of Citrus, so. Worm Blade just gets entirely made up for by the purple drink. Still advances Samara's. This is just showing what I could have done before, mostly. It's a strategy. It's slow. But it built past and I still win in the end. As long as I don't Cariel go down while doing it. Turn she taunt heals. Her health doesn't go down the turns where she does this, she loses 10. Boom. Victory. Sorin that finishes Kudris's task. Curtis, not Kudris. Poison Vial? That won't actually help Phantom Knives, will it? Because, yeah. After a friendly character casts an ability, deal 6 damage or extra defense. This would also make retaliations against her really nasty. There's extra health. It's really, I just need her to endure well enough. Also, he's an elf, so that should actually, the Elfin Banner should benefit him. Alright, Fellblade I-Beam gets +1 fell damage. Doesn't have I-Beam yet, though. That's his next thing. So he can send the bench from here on, and I can put in Valera instead. Which is a shame, because he would actually now benefit from her Elven Banner. Or I could switch in Murkai. something. Spirit Healer, not useful. Fathom Ward, something or another. An Elite Protector battle. I might lose a character. Could have used the Spirit Healer after this. Let's see what I'm facing. I probably need a break. That's... Their health pools aren't insane. Spud might be critical. But there's 4 of them. I'm probably going to lose a character if I put one of these 2 up. Cariel's got a lot of health. Often having a big health pool is critical. Vluir's got... Elven Banner passive your elves have. Why is that not applied yet? She's got more health and she can hide herself. And this guy. There's enough enemies for a done. I bet the lazy programming from the devs. Yeah, I bet her Elven Banner doesn't even benefit her as Blood Elf. Once they separate out Blood Elves, Night Elves, I bet none of them benefit. Let's find out. Usually passives are already active before when you're deploying. Oh, here we go. Okay, it does increase her stats. It just doesn't do it early enough. If she goes down, does the passive on the Night Elf go away? Probably. Okay. I know about the Spud and its fuse. Berry Trex deal 8 damage to the enemies across this Merc. Or the enemy. Tomorrow, though, when the Spud swaps side. After its turn, it could be 2 enemies, these 2. So positioning actually does matter. Serpent's Bite deals 6 damage to a character. 8 damage, 6 damage. At the end of this turn, it takes 6 damage. So it's 12 damage, 6 on delay. The limited time poison. Splitting Strike, attack an enemy. Death Blow give your humans +7 attack. There aren't any other humans. It's an Orc, Night Elf, and a Naga. And a mech. So attack. 12 damage, 8 damage. Attack with 7. Deal 12 damage to lowest enemies. So it's actually Lady Anaconda and Fathom Lord. Those are the 2 that deal by far the most damage. I have 2 fighters, and the one can swap types. 10 damage. Tomorrow gains more over time. Probably want to adapt him into a Protector and go for Lady Anaconda. I don't know what other abilities are. Also, I don't know what their other... They have at least 2 abilities each. Alright, well this will happen next turn. I wish you all the best. I might lose characters in this fight, but I'll try and be careful. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves, and may you always find a guiding star. Till we don't. Till next time, it's Northstar. Do. Best luck to you all.